Hi, in this video I want to teach you how to make this cowl or wrap. It's my own version of the one that Katniss wear in the Hunger Game Catching Fire. I hope you guys like it, and here is what you're going to need to make this piece. To make this neck warmer or cowl inspired by the Hunger Game Catching Fire, the yarn that I'm going to use is Lion Brand, Wool Easy, thick and quick. Is super bulky, number 6. It's 170 grams, and the color is gray marble. This yarn is 82% acrylic, 10% wool, and 8% rayon. You're going to need a tapestry needle, and the needles that I'm going to use are a circular needle, but if you don't have circular needle, you can use a straight needle. These ones are 12.75 millimeter or 17 US, and the length is 29 inches or 75 centimeter. If you are using a straight needle, I will explain how you can work this in a straight needle and as I go. So at the end too, I will let you know the amount of yarn that you're going to use, because right now I don't know exactly the amount I'm going to use. If it's 1, 2, I don't know. So let's start making our project. To know the length of tail that you're gonna leave to cast on, you're gonna wrap. You have to use for this a thick yarn. I recommend to buy a thick one because it looks more bulky. I'm gonna wrap around. I'm gonna cast 65 stitches, so I'm gonna wrap around 33 times my yarn around my needle. Just wrapping around and counting 33 times. When I have my 33 times, for example, let's say I have 33 times here. I will let it go, and I grab with my finger there, holding where I end, and I will do this, double my yarn, and I will grab it here and let go, and that will give me enough length to cast my 65 stitches with that tail. So I will do mine off camera, and I will show you how I'm gonna cast on. Here I have the length of tail that I need for my 65 stitches. So I'm gonna show you how to do the first one. It's a slip knot. I'm gonna wrap around the yarn around my finger like this. I'm gonna pull it out, and you see you'll have this one in the back, and that one you're gonna pass through the little hole, and then you pull it out, and you have your first slip knot. That is your first stitch, just like that. Here I have my first stitch, and I'm going to show you how you're going to cast on. You're going to pass your needle, either it's a circular needle or a straight needle, through that first stitch or a slip knot. And this is the tail in this side, and this is the yarn that is attached to the ball of yarn. You're going to grab it like this between these two fingers, and it's like a triangle, and you're going to grab it like this. You pass it through here, you see, between these two, like this. You twist a little bit your hand, and you grab that one on the other side and pass it through that open, and you pull one more time. You have your triangle, you pass it through these two, you twist, you see, a little bit to grab that one there, and you pass it through that opening like that. Just remove your thumb and just pull. Like that you're gonna cast 65. Remember, I recommend to use a thick yarn like this one, because if you see in the movie, it's a very bulky piece what you use. If you use a thinner yarn, I really don't know the amount of stitches that you will have to cast. That you will have to do a test yourself and cast on and work a little bit, bind off, and try it on if you want to do it with a thinner yarn. But I don't recommend it because it looks nice with a thick bulky yarn. Okay, so you're going to continue casting on your 65 stitches, either on a straight needle or a circular needle. It will be exactly the same. So I'll meet you here when I have my 65 stitches. Here I cast 66 stitches. I cast one more. just to have an even number. Not that that matters, but I just wanted to do an even number. I'm gonna do a small knot here with a tail, not too tight, that's just to secure the first stitch there. And you have to make sure that you cast on are not twisted. They have to be just like that, all this part to the center. Now, to work on a circular needle, you're gonna do your first purl, a little tight, always the first stitch. For this, you're gonna do 4 rows of purl. So you're gonna go in a circular motion, working on 4 rows of purl. You're gonna purl all these 66 or 65 or 66 stitches 4 times. And to know where each row start and end, you guide yourself by the tail. Because I don't can put a marker because these needles are too thick, or you can put a little piece of yarn or something there to mark the first stitch. So you're gonna do 4 rows of purl. Now to work with a straight needle is a little bit different. I cast on in here in this one a few stitches. Let's pretend that these are my 65 or 66 stitches. I'm gonna do the knot. These needles are a little bit thicker than the other one, but this is just for showing you what you're gonna do if you're working a straight needle. You're gonna purl this row. You're gonna purl just 65 or 66 stitches. This is a little bit different than working with circular needle because you're working back and forth. In the circular needle, you're working one way only. Okay. Let's say I finish my 66 stitches. Now you turn your work around, and here you're gonna do this row of knit. You're gonna knit the knit like that and purl the purls. You're gonna knit this row, and by knitting this row in the back you will have the second row purl. Look at the back of the knit is a purl, and the back of the purl is a knit. And you need to do 4 rows of purl. I hope you guys understand my explanation. But remember, if you're working with thin yarn, that's something that you have to figure out how many stitches you need to cast. Okay. Now let's say I finish my 65, 66 knit, and if you look at the back, you'll see that you have 2 rows of purl. Now you have to do 1 more row of purl and 1 more row of knit, and that will be your 4th row of purls. Okay, so after that I will show you what you go to do next, because next you will have to start in this side with knit, no purls. Here I finished my first row of purl. I just wanted to show you that it's a circle, and that's where the second row will start, where the tail is. If you like, that way you don't get confused, you can put a marker. I have this here. I'll put it as a marker, and that way I know each row when I'm finished and when I start the next one. So you're gonna purl. This will be the second row, and you're gonna do this one and 2 more for a total of 4 rows of purls. So I will meet you here at the end of my 4th row, and I will show you what we're gonna do on our 5th row. Here I finished my 4-row purls. Now we're gonna do 4-row knit. You see, when you finish your purl, you generally be in the front and you pass it to the back at that needle, and then you're gonna do 4-row of knit, just like that. So I'll meet you here when I have my 4-row of knit. If you're working with a straight needle, you'll have like this your 4-row of purl, and here will be knit in the back. Now we're gonna do the reverse. You're gonna start with a row here in front where the purl is. You're gonna do a row on knit, just like that, all the way to the end. Remember, this is supposed to be very long, not just this little piece. So you're gonna do knit until the end. Here I finish my row knit, and then you're gonna turn your work around and you're gonna do a row of purl. You see? And then when you do that row of purl, you will turn your work around and you will do a row knit. When you finish that row knit, you will turn your work around and do a row purl. In total, you're gonna have 4 row of purl here. That will be 4 row knit in the front. So I'll meet you here when I have that done off camera. Here I finish my 4 row knit. Now I'm gonna change my work and I'm gonna do 4 row purl. I'm gonna put the marker, turn the yarn, bring it to the front. I'm gonna do 4 row of purl. So I will meet you here when I have my 4 row. If you're netting straight and a straight needle, you will do exactly what you did in this 4 row. You'll have 4 row of purl in this side. That means you'll purl this way, net the other way, purl and knit. That will be 2 purls and 2 knit. Here I finished my 4 row of purl. Now what you're gonna do is 4 row on net, and then after you do those 4 row on net, you will do 4 row of purl and 4 row on net. In total you will have 3 of these purl and 3 of the net. So you have to finish with a row on net. Remember, you're gonna do now a purl, and then you're gonna do a net, 4 of them, 4 purl and 4 net, and I'll meet you there. If you're working with a straight needle, you will have to do a section of net, 1 section of purl and 1 section of net. And then after that, if that's the length that I'm gonna give to my piece, I will let you know, and then you have to cast off. I don't want to work anymore in this one. This one just was for showing you how you're gonna do the design. I'm gonna continue working in my circular needle, and then after, when I'm said the length that I like for me, if you like yours that length, working with this one, you will cast off, and then you have to sew this like this, you see, to go on your neck. And then after that, you'll have to cast on some stitches to work in the front piece. You will have a piece like this when you finish your 4 row of net, just like this. So now I'm gonna cast off, leaving only 25 stitches on my needle. If you are working a straight needle, you have to cast them all off, because you have to sew a circle together in order to continue. And casting off in here in a straight needle is exactly the same. To cast off or bind off, you're gonna knit 1, grab the one behind, and pass it on top of the first one. Like that, you just cast off or bind off the first one, and it'll be exactly the same in your straight needle. Okay, you're gonna net another one, and that one in the back you're gonna pass it through the top at that one that you just knit, like that, and like that, and you're gonna leave 25 stitches left in the needle. If you are working with a straight needle, you're gonna cast them all off, and then after you will be casting on again 25. But when you cast off all your stitches, you will sew them, the two pieces, you will put together the two pieces, and you will sew them until you have a circle, okay? And then to cast on again your 25, for example, let's say here is where you cast off all of them, and to cast on, you're gonna grab your straight needle, and with your left hand, you're gonna just grab 25 stitches in your needle. That way you'll have them for work just like that, okay? Here I have my 25, 24 in this side, and this one here is the 25. Now we're gonna do knit all this row. Like this, we're gonna knit this row till the end. This is so far what we have done. And now we're gonna work in this part. We have 6 rows here of knit. Now to continue, now we are not working in a circular, only in these stitches, so we have to work in the front and in the back. Now we're gonna purl this 25 and knit in the other side. We're gonna do 5 rows for a total of 11 rows. 6 that we have here plus 5 more will be 11. If you're working straight, it will be exactly the same as we're doing right now, because this is gonna be a straight knit and purl. Something else that I wanted to mention, mine is a little bit too loose here in the top. I did a few too many stitches. I recommend to do less than 65, 66. I will say around 60, 58. But for mine, since I already made all this so far, what I'm gonna do is grab a piece of yarn when I'm finished. I'm gonna weave it through inside here. I'm gonna gather a little bit, do a knot, and lose those tails, and will be a little more gathered on the top. That way it's not as loose. If you want to do that, go ahead, go to the end of the video, and you'll see mine done. And if you like that, and then you do exactly how I'm making mine, okay? Here I finished knitting and purling 11 row. Now I'm gonna knit one more and purl in the way back. I'm gonna leave this last stitch without working. That way I start making this side, the right side, smaller, and the left side wider. That way this go under the arm. I put a marker here, that way I know this is the right side. So go ahead, do a row knit, one more row knit. That will be 12 row, counting the 5 that we did. And then we did 5 more, and then now one more knit, and then in the way back a purl. That will be in total of 13 row. But remember, when you finish the purl, don't work in the last stitch. You have to leave the last stitch in the needle. Here I finished purl this one, and I have one left on my needle. I'm gonna turn my work around, and I'm gonna knit those 24 stitches. And then always when you work on the purl is where you're gonna have leaving the stitches here. First we left that one, then the next, when we come back again, we're gonna leave 2, and the next one 3, and then the other one 4, and then 5, and then 6, and then we'll work on all of them, and I will show you how we're gonna do that. So now you will knit, and in the way back when you do the purl, just leave 2 on this needle. Okay, these two. I finished this row of purl, and you see I had 2 left on my needle. I'm going to turn my work around, and remember, either you are working with a straight needle or with these ones, you will leave exactly the same. Now you're going to knit these 23, and when you come back with the row purl, you're going to leave these 3 stitches, and then you'll do a row of net, and when you come back with the row of purl, you will leave 4, and then 5, and then 6. When you have your 6 stitches here, and then I will show you what we're going to do next. Okay, here is my last, I finished my row of purl. I have my 6 stitches that I've been leaving on my needle, and now I'm going to purl those 6, and then when I finish purl this row, I will come back with the net. And like you see, here is still very close to the top, and look here how far I am from here. See, we are creating that sideways like that. Okay, so now I'm gonna finish with that, and then I'm gonna do my row on net, and then I will let you know what we're gonna do next. Here I wanted to show you what I'm done so far, and that was my first set. So you're gonna do exactly the same that we did until now. You're gonna repeat. You're gonna purl now. You see, you finish with a net. We're gonna purl now, and we're gonna leave 1 stitch on our needle. We're gonna come back with the net, and then when we do again the purl, we're gonna leave 2 on the needle, and then 3, 4, 5, and 6. When we have our 6, and then we do a purl, and we purl all of them, the 25 stitches, and then we come back with a net of those 25 stitches. And then when we come back again, we will do exactly the same. We start all over again. We start leaving 1 and our needle, and then 2, and then 3, exactly the same that we did until now. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. This is going to create this piece to go rounder in the front and shorter in this side, and then we're going to do it long enough. When we bring it to the back, we can sew it here at the back of the piece. Okay, so I'm going to continue off camera, and I will let you know how many more sets of this one that we did now we're going to do. Okay, remember that is leaving 6 stitches on our needle without working, and then we work those 6 and then come back with a net, and then we start all over again. Your piece will be looking like this once you finish doing the this design, leaving the stitches. I show you how to do the first one, and I say I'm going to do off camera the rest, and I will let you know how many I did. I did 3 more for a total of 4. And when I finished my number 4, what I did 5 row normal without leaving any stitch on my needle, just 5 row. And then you will try put this on your top and see if the open here for the arm will be big enough for you. If not, you can do a couple more row, for example 7. That way you finish the last row will be doing the purl, and then the net will be to cast off or bind off. You'll be folding this in the second one, and it will be a piece like this. You see, this is the open for the arm and here, and this is for the other side. It will be like piece like this. Now I'm gonna cast off my stitches, and then I just have to sew the back part. We're gonna cast off exactly like we did before on the other side. So we're gonna knit the first one, knit the second one, and we're gonna pass the first one on top of the second one, and we're gonna knit the next one and pass the one in the back on top of the one in the front. You're gonna cast off all your stitches, and then what we have to do is just sew this part at the back here, the back of the neck part. I recommend to leave a tail when you finish casting off. That way with that tail you can sew this part to the other one. Here we have 1 stitch left. I'm going to pull my needle out. I'm going to grab the tail I'm going to pass it through, and then I'm going to cut the tail long enough to sew this part here in the back and leave the arm opening, because remember these only have one opening for one arm and the other part is just there. Here for the opening of the arm I count 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and I put a marker there, and that will be the opening for the arm right there. And now I'm gonna sew this here, these two pieces here, and you're gonna sew it in a zigzag. You don't know how to sew in a zigzag, you can look one of my videos where I make hats that I sew them in a zigzag. I'm gonna sew them off camera, so I'll show you the end result. And to sew in a zigzag, you just sew from one end side to the other one. Here is the seam at the part that I sew. It will be just like that. Well, for me it's like that. And for me it's a little tight in here. I should have done a few extra rows. And this part here where I did 5, I should have done 7, maybe 11 rows. That way it will be a little bit more loose in the arm and in here. But still it fit me. It will fit better a smaller person, like a medium-sized person. So if you are a little in the larger size, so do a few more rows, 7 to 11 rows. I recommend 11 for a large size. Here in the front it will look like this, and here in the top I pass a piece of yarn, or the same yarn, and I did a bow, but yes, I will hide it in the inside. And here I did a knot in each of the tails, that way the yarn don't come undone, just like that. And here is the bow and the inside, so like that is the piece. It looks really nice, and I will put it on in the mannequin and I will show you the end result. Well, here is the end result of my project. It's not exactly the same as the one that Katniss wear, but this is my own version, and I hope you guys like it. And subscribe to my channel if you are not already a subscriber, and give you a thumbs up, and have a beautiful day. Bye.